Welcome to the All Sorts Podcast. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit that like button, share the podcast, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, be sure to check out our past deep dives on all sorts of fascinating topics. And don't forget to follow us on X, Instagram, and Threads for more updates from the All Sorts Podcast. Today, we're diving deep into the Italian aircraft carrier Cavour, a topic suggested by you, our awesome listeners. We've gathered a treasure trove of information from the Italian Navy, naval journals, Wikipedia, and even the shipbuilder Fincantieri. We're on a mission to uncover the fascinating history and specs of this incredible vessel, highlighting the key details and aha moments without getting bogged down in technical jargon. So are you ready to embark on this deep dive?
Absolutely. The Cavour is a fascinating ship with a rich history and impressive capabilities.
Great. So let's dive right in. Where does the story of the Cavour begin?
Well, the Cavour project began in November 2000 as a joint effort between the Directorate General of Naval Weaponry, or Naval, and Fincantieri, an Italian shipbuilding company.
So right from the start, it was a collaboration between the Italian Navy and their shipbuilding industry.
Yes, exactly. And they wasted no time getting started. The steel cutting ceremony and the keel laying both took place on July 17, 2001, at Fincantieri shipyard in Riva Trigoso, near Genoa.
Wow, that's impressive. They really hit the ground running.
They did. And considering the sheer size of an aircraft carrier, they decided to build the Cavour in sections. The forward section was built in Muggiano, near La Spezia, while the stern section was built in Riva Trigoso.
So two shipyards working in parallel to create this massive vessel.
Yes, exactly. And they joined the bow section to the hull module on September 15, 2004, marking the end of the laying down phase. Interestingly, the stern section had already been launched a couple of months earlier, on July 20th, 2004, in Genoa.
That's pretty incredible, launching a major section before the entire hull is even connected.
It is, and after launching the stern, they moved it to Muggiano to be joined with the forepart, completing the ship's main structure.
It's amazing to think about the scale of this project.
It is. And then came the sea trials, which started on December 18, 2006. These trials are essential to test all the ship's systems and make sure it performs well at sea.
Basically, it's like taking a brand new car for a test drive, but on a much grander scale.
Exactly. And after rigorous testing, the Cavour was finally delivered to the Italian Navy on March 27, 2008, at the Fincantieri shipyards in Riva Trigoso. However, it wasn't officially commissioned until June 10, 2009, when it received its combat flag.
A long and meticulous process to bring such a complex warship to life. Now, I heard that the Cavour wasn't always going to be called the Cavour, is that right?
Yes, that's right. They initially considered naming it Andrea Doria after another famous Italian admiral. However, they ultimately decided to name it after Camillo Benso, Count of Cavour.
And why was that?
Well, Camillo Benso, Count of Cavour, was a pivotal figure in Italian history. He served as Italy's first prime minister and is considered a founding father of the Italian Navy. He was a strong advocate for developing a powerful navy, especially after the unification of Italy.
So naming the ship after him was a way of honoring his legacy and recognizing his vision for the Italian Navy.
Exactly. And the Cavour was also a significant ship in another way. Upon delivery, it became the first unit of the Italian Navy to be classified as an aircraft carrier, or CV.
So this was a real milestone for the Italian Navy.
It was. They wanted a dual-use vessel capable of both interforce and international operations, and the Cavour fit the bill perfectly.
So it wasn't just a traditional aircraft carrier focused solely on combat?
No, it was designed for a much wider range of missions, from humanitarian aid and disaster relief to peacekeeping and joint operations with other branches of the Italian military.
A true multi-purpose vessel. Now, does the Cavour have a motto?
Yes, it does. The motto is In Arduis Servare Mentem, which is Latin for to keep the mind in the arduous.
A powerful reminder of the challenges faced by those who serve at sea. So we've covered the history and the significance of the Cavour. Now let's talk about its size and capabilities. How big is this ship?
Well, the Cavour is a pretty big ship. It's 244 meters long, which is over 800 feet.
Wow, that's longer than 2 football fields.
It is. And it has a molded breadth of 39 meters, or nearly 128 feet, which helps keep it stable in rough seas. The flight deck is even bigger, measuring 232.6 meters long and 34.5 meters wide.
That's a lot of space for aircraft to operate.
And below deck, there's a massive hangar that's 134.2 meters long and 21 meters wide, with a total area of 2,500 square meters.
That's huge. It must be able to hold a lot of aircraft.
It can. And it has a draft of 8.7 meters, which is how deep the hull sits in the water. This is important because it determines which ports the Cavour can enter. The Cavour displaces around 27,100 metric tons when empty, and up to 28,100 tons when fully loaded.
So it's a real heavyweight in the naval world. And how does a ship this size move through the water? What kind of engines does it have?
The Cavour uses a COGAG propulsion system, which stands for Combined Gas and Gas. It has 4 General Electric Avio LN2500 plus gas turbines, each generating 22,000 horsepower.
That's a lot of power.
It is. And they're made in Italy by Fiat Avio under license from General Electric. These gas turbines power 2 5-blade controllable pitch propellers made by Fincantieri. These propellers can even feather, which reduces drag when they're not in use.
Interesting. So it's like putting the propellers in neutral, but underwater.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And all this power gives the Cavour a top speed of over 28 knots, and it can sustain speeds of over 29 knots at 85% of its maximum power.
That's pretty impressive for such a large ship.
It is. And it has a range of 7,000 nautical miles at a cruising speed of 16 knots, which is about 13,000 kilometers.
So it can travel quite far without needing to refuel.
Yes, it can. And at cruising speed, it burns about 3 tons of diesel per hour, but at full speed, it guzzles 25 tons per hour.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It is. And to power all the ship's systems, it has 6 Wärtsilä CW12 V200 diesel generators, which provide a total of 13,200 kilowatts of electrical power.
So it has a pretty robust power generation system.
It does.
Now, let's talk about its main purpose as an aircraft carrier. We've already talked about the flight deck size, but what other features make it suitable for air operations?
Well, the Cavour has a ski jump ramp at the bow of the flight deck.
And what is that for?
This ramp helps stale aircraft, which means short takeoff and landing aircraft take off more easily. It basically gives them an extra boost, and the runway is 183 meters long, which is enough for most aircraft to take off and land safely.
So it's specifically designed to handle those short takeoff and landing aircraft.
Yes. And there are 6 spots on the flight deck for helicopters to operate simultaneously, and an additional spot for search and rescue or SAR operations. There are also 8 parking spots for aircraft.
So it can handle quite a lot of air traffic.
It can. And it's designed to conduct flight operations in sea states up to sea state 6, which means it can handle moderately rough seas with significant wave heights.
So even in challenging weather conditions, it can still launch and recover aircraft.
Yes. And the hangar below deck can accommodate up to 12 helicopters or 8 AV-8B plus Harrier jump jets.
The Harriers are those cool vertical takeoff and landing jets, right?
Yes, exactly. And in the future, the Cavour will be able to operate F-35B Lightning II stealth fighters.
Now that's a game changer. The F-35B is one of the most advanced fighter jets in the world.
It is. The hangar can hold up to 10 F-35Bs, and they can park another 6 on the deck.
So it'll have quite a formidable air wing.
It will. And to move those aircraft between the hangar and the flight deck, there are 2 aircraft lifts, one at the bow and one on the starboard side. Each lift can handle up to 30 tons.
Wow, that's heavier than a fully loaded semi-truck.
It is.
Now, besides its role as an aircraft carrier, the Cavour also has a significant amphibious capability, right?
Yes, it does. It can transport and deploy troops, vehicles, and supplies for amphibious operations. The hangar can be configured to hold up to 24 Ariete main battle tanks.
Those are the Italian tanks, right?
Yes, they are. Or it can carry 50 amphibious assault vehicles.
So it's like a floating fortress.
In a way, it is. And it has accommodation for 325 Marines from the San Marco Regiment with the capacity to carry another 90 troops if needed.
So it can deploy a sizable force.
Yes, and it has 2 RORO ramps, which stand for roll-on, roll-off, one at the stern and one on the side, for loading and unloading vehicles. Each ramp can handle up to 60 tons.
So it can even handle those heavy Ariete tanks.
Yes, it can. And it also operates 4 LCVPs, which are landing craft vehicle personnel, for transporting troops and equipment to shore.
So it's well equipped for amphibious landing.
It is.
Now, to manage all these complex operations, the Cavour must have sophisticated command and control systems.
It does. The Cavour has high command and control capabilities for both joint and combined operations. The command center has over 150 workstations and can accommodate up to 230 personnel.
That's a lot of people working together to coordinate all those different aspects of naval warfare.
It is. And they have access to a comprehensive internal and external communication system, including SATCOM for satellite communications and various tactical data links for sharing information with other friendly units.
So they can stay connected with the rest of the fleet and with allies.
Exactly.
Now, even though the Cavour is primarily focused on air and amphibious operations, it still needs to be able to defend itself. What kind of weapons does it have?
For air defense, the Cavour has two 8-cell silver vertical launch systems, which can launch a total of 32 Aster-15 surface-to-air missiles.
And those Aster missiles have a pretty long range, right?
Yes, they have a range of up to 30 kilometers, so they can engage aerial threats from a safe distance. And for closer range defense, the Cavour has two Ottomalara 7662 super rapid Strales guns, which are very effective against a variety of targets.
So they can take out incoming missiles, aircraft, and even small boats.
Yes, they can. And it also has three Ottomalara KBA 2580mm anti-aircraft guns for additional protection.
A multi-layered defense system to keep it safe. What about countermeasures? Does it have anything to protect itself against incoming missiles or torpedoes?
Yes, it does. It has two Bred Esclar H-20-barrel trainable chaff decoy launchers, which can confuse and divert incoming missiles.
So it's like creating a smokescreen to hide the ship.
In a way, it is. And it also has an anti-torpedo defense system called SUSLAT, which uses sonar to detect and track incoming torpedoes and then launches countermeasures to neutralize them. And it has two ODL's Ottomalara decoy launching systems, which launch decoys that mimic the ship's signature to fool incoming missiles.
So it has a whole bag of tricks to protect itself.
It does. And it also has a sophisticated electronic warfare system, or EW system, which can detect and jam enemy radars and communications.
So it's like a ghost ship, making it harder for the enemy to target it.
In a way, it is.
Now, to feed all these weapons and defense systems, the Cavour must have some pretty advanced sensors.
It does. It has a wide array of sensors, including various radar systems for air and surface surveillance, target tracking, fire control, navigation, and precision approach.
So it's constantly scanning its surroundings for potential threats.
Yes, it is. And it has identification friend or foe, or IFF, systems to distinguish friendly aircraft from enemy aircraft. And it has a TACAN system for tactical air navigation, a mine avoidance sonar for detecting underwater mines, infrared search and track, or IRST, systems for passively detecting targets, and an underwater telephone for communicating with submarines.
It's amazing how much technology is packed into this ship.
It is.
We've talked about this before, but it's worth emphasizing that the Cavour is a very versatile platform. It's often described as having a four-fold capability. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. The Cavour can operate as an aircraft carrier, an amphibious assault ship, a command control ship, and a hospital ship.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like 4 ships in one.
It is, and that makes it a very valuable asset for the Italian Navy.
It certainly does. And to manage all those different roles, it must have a large crew.
It does. The Cavour has a core crew of 451 personnel, plus around 203 aircrew members when aircraft are embarked.
That's a lot of people.
It is. And it can also accommodate a command task force of up to 140 personnel and embarked troops, including 341 members of the San Marco Regiment and another 91 troops for specific missions.
So it can have well over 1,000 people on board at any given time.
Yes, it can.
Now, are there any other notable features or systems on the Cavour that we should mention?
Yes, there are. It has 6 generating sets for electrical power, reverse osmosis desalinators for producing fresh water, active fin stabilizers for reducing roll in rough seas, shaft generators for generating electricity from the main propulsion shafts, a bow and stern thruster for improved maneuverability in tight spaces, 2 aircraft lifts, 2 rudders for steering, and a comprehensive HVAC system for climate control.
So it's self-sufficient in terms of power, water, and climate control.
It is. And it also has a distinctive crest featuring a silhouette of the ship with its ski jump ramp and a portrait of Count Camillo Benso di Cavour, along with the ship's motto in Arduus Servare Mentem and its hull number 550.
That sounds like a very impressive crest.
It is.
Well, this has been a fascinating look at the Cavour. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
As we conclude this deep dive into the Italian aircraft carrier Cavour, it's clear this vessel is a marvel of engineering and a testament to the capabilities of the Italian Navy. It's a ship that seamlessly blends historical legacy with cutting-edge technology, demonstrating the importance of adaptable, multi-role platforms in today's complex maritime environment. From its impressive dimensions and powerful propulsion system to its versatile air wing and amphibious capabilities, the Cavour is a truly formidable asset, capable of projecting power and influence across the globe. And that brings us to the end of another fascinating episode of the All Sorts podcast. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel on YouTube so you don't miss our next deep dive. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, be sure to check out our vast library of past episodes on a wide range of intriguing topics. And for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes glimpses, follow the All Sorts podcast on X, Instagram, and Threads. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those questions coming.